Probably one of the best books I have read in many, many years is Human Race, Get Off Your Knees, The Lion Sleeps No More. It is the new compendium, a giant book chock full of great information by one David Icke. I also had the privilege and the honor to not only meeting David in Phoenix, Arizona, the scene of the crime, but seeing the great lecture that went with this. If you ever get a chance to go see David, it's probably not what you're going to expect. Very funny, very entertaining, very fast-moving. But I'm really very happy to have David Icke, a #1 thought criminal in the world, on the show with us now. Good friend of mine. David, great to hear from you.
Oh, thank you, Jack. I'm distraught here that I've been targeted by the Southern Poverty Law Center. It's like being savaged by a dead sheep. I don't know how I'll cope. I mean, the events of the last few days, mate, after this horrific shooting in Tucson, Arizona, has just shown, on one level, first of all, the kind of soulless people with no empathy, cold, callous, vindictive people who are prepared to use a horror like what happened in Tucson, involving not just a congresswoman, but 6 other dead people, including a 9-year-old girl, to use that to seek to target and discredit people they wish to discredit because they don't want them to go on informing people about what's really going on in the world. To use that horrific event for purely political and beyond political means to discredit, target people is just beyond my understanding.
It's sick and it's twisted. And David, I mean, we went through this already. I remember there was a little thing here called 9/11 where they did the exact same thing on the other side.
Exactly. I mean, you know, I was saying earlier today to someone that it's a blueprint. What you have is the event happens, and then there is the prearranged response. So on 9/11, within minutes, really, they were starting to talk about it's bin Laden, it's Arab terrorists, and it's Al-Qaeda, this CIA operation. And what you had with the guy that burned his backside on the plane above America is the immediate reaction by people like Michael Chertoff, former Homeland Security chief and co-author of the Patriot Act as a result of 9/11, who was there immediately on the networks pushing full-body scanners, which were immediately rolled out. Why? Because they were all ready to do that. And here we have a situation now where the shooting happened, and immediately the target people, there's a long list of them, were picked out to be discredited as a result of this. It's a blueprint. And what's happening now is, because of the awakening, Jack, because more and more people are not buying it, there is a sense of panic and there is a sense of desperation, because they have to play out this long prearranged agenda for global enslavement with an increasingly skeptical public not buying the excuses. And so they're almost ceasing to bother even with fake excuses with any substance anymore. You know, you have this guy who goes through Amsterdam airport, apparently no passport, gets on the plane, and then this device goes off, which didn't hurt anybody but himself, and bingo, out come the full-body scanners. Now, you take the full-body scanners, people are being radiated every day as they go through, and all the implications for pedophilia and all the rest of it with that technology. To say that is justified by the guy with the burning his bum device is ludicrous, but it doesn't matter to them anymore. It's a panic. Just tell them anything and roll it out. And so here we're having this extraordinary, ludicrous disparity between what actually happens, the background to the man himself, and who they're trying to discredit as a result of it. And we can expect more of this, Jack. It's going to get more and more intense, because when you corner a rat, and increasingly as people wake up, that's what's happening, then they start to thrash out, and that's what we're seeing. So people like you and me and everyone else who's been speaking out about this, we can expect, you know, all the stuff thrown in our direction. What we have to do is be strong, keep walking, keep talking, and not let it affect us. And bingo. So many people in my life over the last 20 years have tried to discredit me. They've tried to undermine me. They've tried to do it financially. They've tried to do it by getting involved in legal things. And then I say, where are they now? Oh, do you know, I've not heard of them for ages, and you're still going. And that's what we need to do, because this is, they're going to up the ante on this now. But because it's getting so stupid and so ludicrous and so far-fetched, it's going to have less and less effect.
Well, I mean, and I talked to William Engdahl here last week, and we were talking about this playbook getting a little dusty, and that people are not falling for all of this crying wolf so much anymore. And he pretty much said it. This is just all on autopilot now. Can I play? I want to play the clip. This should only take. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but I want to play just the first minute or so. This is you being mentioned literally within hours of this shooting in Arizona. I want to preface this by saying about David Icke that I have been studying with him for 10 years, and I've become less violent along the way, which, David, I know it's your mission to try to quell violence and suffering and spread love.
Cooperation rather than violent response.
Exactly. Let's play a little bit of this. Keith Obamaman and Mark Potok of the Southern Poverty Law Center talking about the shooting hours after the event, getting their slime on all of us. Just a minute of this.
We are admittedly in somewhat speculative territory still here, as it clarifies. However, this is one of the rare cases where a political assassin, if Waffner is indeed guilty, has been caught alive. And what are the questions we have tonight? The gunman
that
himself,
is rare.
in theory, on Sunday, answer, although the sheriff says he has invoked his right to remain silent. Until then, let's draw on the expertise of the Southern Poverty Law Center that attracts political militancy in this country, and Mark Potok is the director of the Center's Intelligence Project. Thanks for your time tonight, sir.
Thank you for having me, Keith.
Waffner's internet trail, does it tell us anything about his politics? Does that specific reference to the 8th District, the Congresswoman's District, does that step out of the incoherence, or is it just part of the incoherence?
Well, you're right, that reading through all of his materials, or the materials that are purported to be his, he sounds quite mad, out of his mind. But there is a thread through the material that really seems pretty clear, and that thread has to do with seeing the government as an enemy. The books you mentioned, there's a theme that runs through all of them, particularly the Ayn Rand book, the idea of the individual against the state. But there are ideas like the idea of the only legitimate currency being backed by gold and silver. You know, that's a core idea of the radical right in this country. The idea, weirdly enough, of controlling grammar, of somehow the government using grammar to control the people, is an idea that exists on the radical right. There's a particular person, a man named David Wynn Miller, who has plugged this idea over the years. This man also talked quite a lot in these strange videos of his about what he called conscience streaming, but I think is almost certainly meant to be conscious streaming, which is an idea that also has been kind of tossed around in the radical right, in particular by a kind of British conspiracy theorist by the name of David Icke. So a lot of these ideas, his burning of the flag, his talking about the government as treasonous, and using mind control to control the rest of us and so on, these are all ideas, or kind of shards of ideas, that exist very much on the radical right.
All right, that's all I can take of that, obviously. I've got a lot of comments on that clip, but since I have David Icke with us from the radical right, go, David. I mean, what bothers me about Potok is he does look like a child molester, so it is hard to watch him and listen, but that aside.
Well, what surprised me, he was described as being, having an intelligence role with the Southern Poverty Law Center. I thought you needed intelligence to do that. Clearly, he's in the wrong job.
Well, for a robot, yeah, he's pretty intelligent. Yeah. That's artificial intelligence, David.
What we saw there, or heard there, was a series of bullet points of information and awareness that the control system does not want people to understand, does not want people to look at and see the validity of. And therefore, these are the bullet points that are given as the recognition opinions of this perceived far-right dangerous, violent, terrorist mentality that has the nerve to think that the government doesn't necessarily have people's best interests at heart. And when you look at the Southern Poverty Law Center, what you're looking at, Jack, is an element, a strand in a web that includes the Anti-Defamation League and Abe Foxman, its national director, the Simon Wiesenthal Center, the American Jewish Committee, the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, AIPAC, the biggest lobby group in America, basically, and lobby group on behalf of Israel. And every time you mention the word Israel, what you're really saying is Rothschild, because the House of Rothschild created Israel. They paid for the building of Knesset and the Illuminati symbol-infested Supreme Court building in Tel Aviv. They control the country, they own the country, and it's their fiefdom from which they go out through Mossad and other elements to manipulate the world. One of the places they go out from anyway. And it's no accident that on New Year's Day, I put it out across the net, which has gone out far and wide, I'm seeing, a major expose article called "They Dare Not Speak Its Name, Rothschild Zionism." And what this does is expose Zionism not as something that is there to benefit Jewish people. They couldn't give a damn about Jewish people. They've been using and abusing them for their own ends for centuries. Rothschild Zionism is in its play-out world, and I call it Rothschild Zionism to keep emphasizing and underpinning the real creators and controllers of it. They created it in one sense as a political philosophy, because that's what it is. If you believe in this, that, and the other, then you're a Zionist. You don't have to be Jewish to be a Zionist. It's one of the few things that Joe Biden, the vice president, has ever said that I agree with. And the core, however, of what we call Zionism, what I call Rothschild Zionism, is actually a secret society. It's a secret society created, owned, and controlled to this minute by the House of Rothschild. And so when, as I expose in the major and very long article, "They Dare Not Speak Its Name, Rothschild Zionism," when I expose the extraordinary, absolutely staggering ratio of Rothschild Zionist positions of power around the world, not least in the United States, and also the extraordinary ratio of people who were in fundamental positions before, during, and after 9/11. It is mind-blowing when you think that the Jewish population of America is 1.7%, and a lot of those people are not Rothschild Zionists. People don't realize, as I point out in the article, there are very significant numbers of Jewish people who vehemently oppose Zionism because of all it stands for. And so what they've done brilliantly over the years is equate in the public mind Zionism equals Jewish people. It does not. Yeah. And then having established that false belief, false perception, then they wheel out the Southern Poverty Law Center, Anti-Defamation League, Simon Wiesenthal Center, and all these other people to use that perception to target anyone who is exposing the secret society that is Rothschild Zionism.
And let me add one more thing, too, while you're on this roll, is that Comcast, as you know, has bought into MSNBC General Electric, where this clip comes from that originates all this venom against you. And they are on the board of the Simon Wiesenthal Center, the controllers of Comcast. We've had their run-ins with them in the past with free speech issues in the Northeast.
Well, what you find, Jack, when you look into this, as you well know, is you start to see amazing common connections, amazing common names,